service companies regarding, this type of stuff?
Yeah, we have. We've shared similar results or these results with a number of gas companies. I think we're encouraged that there may be some opportunities on some of these issues.
That was my next question. How are you received?
I think in some cases we've been received quite positively. They are interested in learning with us what we can do to avoid and minimize. I think our attitude is, look, if folks don't know what we think is important, then how are we going to avoid and minimize impact? So that's the approach that we're taking. I'll say that there are some other energy companies that haven't been as interested in this, and it's a diverse industry, and I think you're going to see a range of attitudes about how to approach these issues.
Thank you. That's all, Governor.
Thank you. Terry?
Thank you. This talk provides a wonderful example of how industry and the environmental community can get together to model scenarios. For example, on page 6, you show a plan for outlaying the pipeline and pad infrastructure that really could be neat in the long run. I think the one thing that we would like to know is how forest fragmentation is defined. Obviously, there's a minimum contiguous area that is necessary in order for a forest not to be fragmented. Is there any notion of what that acreage is?
Yeah, well, let me just say that bigger is generally better. So, that's the first thing to know. So the way to think of this is an edge, when you have a new edge in a forest that was previously a larger area, about 300 feet or 100 meters into that forest, you have changes in humidity, light, often facilitating invasives coming in. So you have more predation opportunities from predators along those edges. And so all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of species that aren't going to use that edge for 100 feet away from, up to 100 feet away from the forest. And if you do 100 feet around, I mean, you can't get down to much less than a few hundred acres in size up starts to have that interior habitat that at least some species that depend on interior habitat can use. But it depends on the species. So for example, a northern goshawk is going to need a lot bigger forest patch that's contiguous and not cut up into pieces than, say, some interior nesting warbler that may be able to do fine in a patch of several hundred acres. But in general, we like to see bigger patches, stay bigger patches, if at all possible, and we really need to work hard to do that.
Well, the real key question here is can we do this in a prudent way if the unit size in these forests is, let's say, 1,000 acres per pad? Is that sufficient, or are there some species that need larger contiguous acreage?
Yeah, well, we get into the issue of connectivity. So some species really need to be able to get around a very large forest area. And so the patterns of development may really constrict their ability to move around that landscape. That's one thing we're only in the earliest stages of trying to really understand is where are those key connectivity places. And we can map the connectivity for a wider variety of species, which actually the Nature Conservancy is working on right now. We may be able to provide some really useful data to government agencies, regulatory agencies, energy companies that can be, again, integrated into their planning process. I think in the end, what we really are looking for is not just big patches, but we want to see relatively well-connected patches across the landscape. So it isn't just the patch itself, it's that connection the patch has with other patches. So that's really a key part of it.